Welcome back to Shadowrun Hong Kong, where we went through Magpie's place and discovered it had been ransacked, possibly legitimately, possibly by somebody trying to hide something else entirely, possibly by two separate groups, we don't really know. I just gotta say how much I love this music track. Such an interesting mix of different sounds that work really nicely together. Okay, so at this point... Interesting. So why is the parking garage optional if... Otherwise, how else will I find out what the Red Spear Gangers know? Well, anyway, I think that's the only... kind of our only route right now. Unless you have anything new? No. Okay. The parking garage is marked yellow, so that does mean it's required. I guess there's perhaps things within it that I don't have to fully investigate, but yeah. Let's head in there. Hopefully not piss anyone off. Oh no, they've blocked it off. Okay, I should have expected that. That's far enough, lady. The woman hefts her weapon, tossing a nod towards the gangers behind her. This lot's our turf. If you're looking for a fix, you're welcome to trade. If you're not here for business, clear the hell out. You try and wander around on our turf, we're gonna have to air you out. So what do you say? You looking for a little pick-me-up? A little nitro to give you some pep? Maybe you want some chips, take that edge off? You want it? I got it. Show me what you have. Okay, they've got the usual. They've got a more complete list than the other folks we talked to before. Can I look around this garage? Woman, are you deaf? What the hell did I tell you? No, you goddamn well can't wander around our turf. The ganger shakes her head, mumbling something about idiots with no memory. Do you know who Kindly Chang is? I work for her. She could do you some favors in the future. Okay, that's a compelling argument, but why the hell do you care about the garage? I'm investigating the murders of the elders, of the other elders. The gunfight with the HKPF might be related. It's weird that this is my only option. Feels conspicuous. Huh. Well, we're only set up here because the original occupants are too scared of ghosts and demons to come back. There's blood on the floor, so what? The elders told us it was alright if we moved in here. Seemed happy to have us camped out, honestly. Oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. So they wanted to keep somebody else out. We just want to sell chips, that's all. Knock yourself out. Okay, interesting. That's a lot of blood smeared in a lot of places. Dried blood and bullet holes pockmark the floor, pillars, and walls of the parking garage. Judging by the amount of blood staining the floor, multiple people died here. To call the scene bloody would be to do it a disservice. This was a massacre of tremendous proportions. Look at this, Dragon's Breath. Duncan points to several scratches on the floor and the pillar. These scratches look like they're from a long-bladed weapon, like a sword or machete. With the number of bullet holes in the walls and cars around here, they must have been spraying wildly. Our killer must have fought the HKPF here and then cut them apart. Since they never found a body, I've got to assume the killer got away. Duncan checks the chamber on his assault rifle. I'll tell you what, I don't want to have to fight this maniac at close range. Wait, how did we... There's a leap being made here that I either didn't recognize that was being implied or that we haven't run into yet. Because I was under the impression, the framing that we got before was that it was the Red Spear that were down here that the elders sent the the HKPF after. But clearly that we just got that information that was not correct. And then I assumed that based on what the ganger said, that she was saying there were former residents of some kind, whatever you want to call them. I assumed that was a different gang because this is a different gang, right? Red Spears are not the same as isn't there another red gang? I thought it was a different name. Maybe I'm mistaken. But I thought that was the implication, was this was a smaller faction of some small gang. Not one of the big two, the Yellow Lotus and the Red whatever. Hang on. Do I have I don't have a journal, unfortunately. But now they're heavily implying, not even implying, saying outright that the killer lived down here. Which, how the hell would we get that information? Or what would we assume that based off of? Dried blood and clots clog the drain. As you look closer, however, something catches your eye, an off-red color that doesn't match the hues of the gore around the drain. Bending closer, it appears to be a small nugget of some kind. That sounds gross, and I really don't want to do that, but let's find out what it is. The nugget, upon closer inspection, is a chunk of some kind of synthetic ferroplastic. It's got ragged edges, as if it were broken off of a larger object. A number of small markings are partially obscured by scratches. Examine the markings more closely. Brushing away some of the dust, you peer at the fragmentary bit of ferroplastic. The scratches and markings on the nugget look like Chinese, but despite how closely you look, you can't decipher their meaning. After a moment, you realize the reason. Not only are the markings fragmentary, the language is actually Japanese. The characters are close enough to be familiar, but too different for you to read. Maybe an expert in armor or foreign languages could help. You know, I'm not sure who in Whampoa Garden speaks Japanese, but Wing Kei Kwok has a shop down in the Whampoa itself, by where we met the elders. If anybody around here would know about armor, it would be her. Based on the name, I think, well, I mean, obviously this is very much a mix of different Asian cultures. We've got lots of people from kind of all around and lots of names from all around. I've noticed, I mean, that name to me sounds Korean. I've also noticed names that are definitely Japanese, ones that sound like they're probably Viet, and maybe like Laotian or Cambodian. So like clearly they're going for a very mixed sort of hodgepodge of different ethnic backgrounds that are living in and around Hong Kong, which is not surprising, both given the nature of the world as it is at this time, and given just that Hong Kong itself is a port. It's a where lots of different people come to live, trade, work, etc. So lots of reasons for there to be lots of different people around. Okay. I'm a little worried about talking to you, but hey, welcome back. What you looking for? What happened in the fight here? As far as I know, some police showed up looking for somebody. They got in here, all of them got killed. Whoever they were after was long gone by the time we showed up. Couldn't have been that long ago though, right? Unless this all happened, if that really was the killer, unless this all happened before the killer was the killer. Which would be kind of weird. Used to be a lot of Whampoans living here. If they all cleared out, muttering about ghosts and shit like that. Have you heard anything else about the murders? Nothing much. I tell you what though, I've got a guy named Kang, and he was down in the storm drain system last week. Something was moving down there. Big too, man-sized, but it wasn't speaking any language Kang understood. Kid beat feet back here as fast as he could. Dumbass dropped his storm drain key on the way out, though. You want to go looking for whatever it was, You'll have to get a new key from somebody else. Kang stole his from a city worker. Who else might have a key to the storm drains? There's a guy named Porter Lamb who's got keys to pretty much everything. He's somewhere between a cop and a handyman. Yuan also mentioned some elf woman with a crazy colored hair who managed to scam a key. He said she hunts paracritters down there, devil rats and shit. Yeah, we knew about both of those. This is such a weird interaction because I don't think I could have had this discussion with her without meeting at least I would have had to meet Porter Lamb. I guess I could have not asked him about anything, but that would be kind of weird. And I guess I wouldn't have necessarily had to talk to our Irish friend, but some of these BTLs you're selling look an awful lot like they came from Tong's shop. Yeah, so what? What do you care? If you stole these from Tong's, maybe you saw something I can use in my investigation. Yeah, I guess that's fair. Okay, so once again we're getting a different implication. This is different from Magpie's shop, but like we were talking about how Magpie's shop could have been knocked over by two different groups at different times for different things. It is a little conspicuous if these gangers are opportunistically robbing places that have just had a murder happen in them. That's a bit too conspicuous to be coincidental. But we're getting a second implication here that Tong's shop was robbed right after he died. Unless they robbed it before he died, but that would be pretty weird. Yeah, I don't know. This is definitely odd. It's like this. Broken Thumb Yuan was walking down the street and sees this guy go into Tong's joint right at closing time. Tall guy, hunched over, had this shitty gray rain poncho draped over him. Now, Yuan figured it was weird as hell, so he posts up and waits. He figures the guy will come out soon because Tong's closing up shop. Nothing for 15 whole minutes. Guy comes out, hustles down the street with nobody saying boo. I figure he was waiting for an ebb in the crowds. Yuan sees some blood smeared on the door, though, so he goes to check it out. Inside, total carnage. But you know what? Tong's not going to be using his gear anymore, so to hell with it. Yuan jacks the lot of it. I don't need to piss her off. Business is business. Damn right it is. That's all I know. The guy had to be the killer. Tall, gray rain poncho, hunched over. Also smart about how he came and went. That would make me think it's the first guy we talked to, especially because he was... I was a little suspicious off the bat just because he was so forthcoming about everything. He's very, very friendly. But he has no motive that we know of. I'm forgetting everybody's names, though, because it's been a bit since I played that segment. I apologize. Alright, well... I don't have any reason to attack you or ask you anything else, so I'll just get moving. I mean, frankly, a gray rain poncho could be anybody, but, oh man, I like the other music better. Oh no, Zippy's wearing brown? Looks like gray here. It could just be inconsistency. Oh, and the people have dispersed now. Okay. Is there anything different that we can notice now that we know what happened? I can't bring the Sims back. Don't stand in the blood, man. Alright, I guess we can ask about a key. Do you have a key to the storm drainage system? Sure, why do you ask? Drop a gun down a grate or something? Following up a lead on the killer. In that case, take the damn key. You'll have to forgive me if I don't want to go down there with you. Porter peels an antique Yale-style key off of a key ring and hands it to you. Knock yourself out, woman. There's an entrance up by the Jade Mountain restaurant. Can't miss it. See you later. Okay, so where's the Jade Mountain restaurant? Because we... Oh. Wait, so... Hang on. But this place is closed. But this is where... The restaurant is where Magpie's stash is supposed to be. Is that a non-lead? I don't know. Like... I don't know, maybe we'll come up into the shop or something. What was with the footsteps there? That was weird. Oh. That's pretty gruesome. The disgusting pile of stinking human remains smells strongly of blood and the first stages of decay. The arms, legs, and organs here are heaped together like stacked firewood, leaking blood and gore across the floor. The parts contained therein appeared to have been sliced away from the parent body, rather than torn or bitten. Judging by the clean edges on the cuts, the blade used to sever these parts was extremely sharp. This is a whole world of messed up, Dragon's Breath. Isabel takes a moment to suppress a retch. You think the killer stashed these here? They're stacked. They've been organized. This is our killer, all right. Looking closer at the pile, one part stands out. It's a severed forearm and it's covered in tattoos. Words in a Slavic language and a shining lighthouse adorn the forearm, and ring-like images are inked on each finger. On the back of the hand, there's a skull inside a square. Whoever owned this arm isn't likely to be Wampoan, as the tattoos look like they were poorly drawn and inked by hand, rather than a machine. Most likely Russian criminal tattoos. Should we go back? What the hell? Bro, are you okay? That was quite the leap. I'm tempted to go back and talk to the anti-magic person, because I'm curious, because we already got a key, but maybe she has something else to say regarding all of this. We can ask about the language too. Rainbow, that's right. Should have remembered that. Found something pretty strange down in the sewers. Can I ask your thoughts on it? Sure, what'd you find? Pile of severed limbs stacked like firewood. Rainbow doesn't answer immediately. Instead, she stares at you like you're some kind of alien. Okay, that's not the answer I expected. What do you mean, stacked like firewood? Can you describe the pile in more detail? I'm ever so slightly nervous that she's actually the one who's the killer, and is, because she was already down there. But it looks like somebody had made an organized pile of body parts, a little pyramid that wouldn't fall over. There's no beastie I know of that'll do a thing like that. Some animals store food for later, but they don't stack them like that. I'd suggest whoever did that wasn't an animal, but a person, albeit a very disturbed one. Maybe you're looking at some kind of vampire or infected, a Wendigo maybe? But they generally have a cult of cannibal followers. That's organized behavior. That means the culprit is precise and careful. Also, given it wasn't stored in the lair, I guess, would mean it doesn't want to risk the eventual smell drawing people towards where it sleeps. It's rather good in terms of foresight, don't you think? Them that are killers are I would say a right crafty lot, not just right, but Them that are killers are a right crafty lot if they've a mind better than that of a beast. See you later. Alright, well, that's something. Let's ask about this thing. Oh, welcome back. How may I help you? Do you know what kind of armor this piece is from? Perhaps. Let me see it, and let me tell you what I can find out. Wing Kei holds the armor piece up to her eye, taking out a jeweler's loupe to look at it more closely. Japanese markings. I don't recognize all of them, but this first one is Renraku, fairly recognizable to anyone who's used to seeing the name in Hanzai. The composition appears to be high-density ferroceramics, probably boron carbide with an interwoven bioaramid mesh. The staining on the edges suggests it contained pockets of silica suspended in polyethylene glycol, similar to the commercially sold gel pack technology. This armor could have withstood a significant amount of impact force. Even standard 7.62mm rounds wouldn't have had much chance of penetrating it. But it's still broken. High-velocity rounds with a tungsten carbide penetrator would be the most common. This is the kind of thing armor-piercing, discarding Sabo rounds were designed to defeat. A die-cutted melee weapon could do it as well, but there wouldn't be the kind of splintering at the edge. Oh, interesting. Okay. Same case with EX explosive rounds. We'd see spalling on the backside. That all makes sense. Okay. Winkei hands the armor piece back to you. Whoever shot this off the owner came loaded with the right kind of weaponry to get the job done, that's for certain. And you don't carry that kind of ordnance around unless you're sure of what you're facing. It's just too expensive for common carry. All interesting points. Okay. So we might be up against somebody very, capable, very knowledgeable. Again, this really leads towards it not being any sort of monster, not that we really thought it was. Why did you let the HKPF into Whampoa Garden last month? Tang is taken aback by the question. For a long moment, he says nothing. When his composure does return, he speaks deliberately and with great care. We generally don't let the police into Whampoa Garden, it's true. But in this case, we had made an exception. The police were very polite and offered to look the other way over some of our deals with the Lohojoa pirates. They also made it clear that if we refused, they might not only take an interest in our deals with the pirates, they would call in the Special Duties Unit and force their way in. We have repelled the Hong Kong police force before, when they've tried to push us around. We could probably drive off the Special Duties Unit as well, but the cost in blood would be too high. Shrugs non-committally. Since they weren't hunting a Whampoan, we saw no reason to refuse their request. Okay, this is all important information that would be good to know. Who were they here for? They didn't say, and we didn't ask. The HKPF isn't exactly forthcoming about their business, and we found that the less we know about their interests, the safer Whampoa Garden is. When you take an interest in the police, they return the favor. As far as I know, they went into the parking garage, there was a gunfight, and the police never came out. More showed up a few hours later, looking for their missing officers. We didn't let those in, though. We just delivered what was left of the bodies to them. So you went in and retrieved them. Why didn't you let them in? We were willing to allow the group of 4 in because they asked politely. When the reinforcements arrived, there were over 30 of them. We couldn't risk the rest of the police setting up camp in our streets. It would have been a circus and disrupted our lives and businesses. Okay, that's all fairly even-handed, I think. Still weird to not include it in the information, but I guess that's fair. Maybe we'll get the key off of the killer or something. Oh, they are having a rough time with the pathing. Alright. Despite the darkness, you see something glitter at the edge of the drain. Well, this is very convenient. Looking closer, it appears to be a necklace chain of some kind. It's become caught in the drain's gate, narrowly avoiding falling down into the deep pit. Take the necklace. Lifting the necklace out of the drain, you turn it over in your hand. It's a simple silver pendant on a chain. The silver pendant depicts a long-tailed bird in flight. A magpie. Very convenient to just find that here, but okay. I want to be a little careful because it takes the NPCs a little, or my other characters a little time to catch up. Well, this is interesting. There's at least 3 people in there. There's a lot more than 3 people in there. Okay. Well, let's go see what they're about. As you round the corner, you hear voices speaking just loudly enough for you to make out coherent sentences. The speakers are definitely not local. They speak with a slight Slavic accent, and their clothing is heavily armored. Around them are a number of crates and boxes, all mostly filled. It looks like the group is packing up. Yaroslav says the boat will be ready tomorrow morning. He's gotten everything arranged with the port authority. If we move the goods to his warehouse, he'll handle loading them onto the ship, and we can get paid right then and there. The orc spits on the ground. I'll be glad to be done with this filthy place. I will too. I hate having to hide in these damn drains. It stinks down here. I can hear the devil rats running around the walkways. It's a mess. It's disgraceful. We shouldn't have to put up with this bullshit. And Alexander still isn't back from his little trip. We have to leave him behind if he doesn't get it back soon. I know, Galina. Until Andre says we're in the clear from the triads, we can't be seen with the goods on the street. They'll find us. We go back to Vladivostok in sausage casings. Those Red Dragon Mudakai don't screw around when it comes to protecting their turf. Red Dragon, that's what it was. So it's the Red Spear and the Red Spear gangers, and then the Red Dragon, the big group. Who knows? Maybe Alexander was stupid and they caught him. Either way, we'll have to lug this crap through the drains for a few clicks. Several boxes near the 2 women bear a distinctive label, a magpie in flight, the same emblem you saw stamped on Magpie's equipment in her shop. The orc woman sniffs the air suspiciously, and her eyes dart towards the dark tunnel you stand in. Before you have a chance to get out of sight, she locks eyes with you. The orc lifts her chin as she regards you, cracking her knuckles. What have we here? A curious little pest come looking for things that don't concern her. What do we do with pests, Galina? Galina puts a hand on her shotgun's barrel. We break them, Vasilia, and then we hammer a spike through each of their throats so anyone who sees their bodies knows not to meddle in our affairs. I suggest you stay where you are, pest. I'm not here to meddle in anything, I'm just looking for a serial killer. Well, you found some, friend. Us. You think you can just walk out of here after finding us? Think again. Interesting. Because I know what happened to Alexander. Vasilia's eyes narrow. She hisses her words through her teeth. If you've so much as touched him, your suffering will become the stuff of legend, I promise. Where is he? The serial killer I'm looking for killed him. Why should we believe you? I think you're just trying to save your own skin. Right forearm, lighthouse tattoo, Russian words underneath that. On the back of the hand, a skull inside a square. Sound familiar? Vasilia and Galina exchange a significant glance. Okay, You've seen his arm. That doesn't prove anything. You could have seen it on him. You want to walk all the way? You want to walk down the way and pull his arm out of a corpse pile I found? Go right ahead. I wasn't about to cart a severed arm around just in case I needed it. You're right. That is the act of someone. That is the act of someone very sick. We can talk peacefully, but keep your hands where I can see them. You took Magpie's keycards, didn't you? Yes, we did. Alexander took one earlier. He said he wanted to sweep the stockroom, see if there was anything worth stealing in it. Vasilia tosses you a keycard. Here. We don't have time for this. We have to move this gear. You want to play detective? Go right ahead. Why did that end the conversation? That's interesting. So does this go into the storeroom? That's probably what that is, right? Well, I wasn't done with the conversation. Is there anything you can tell me about the murders that I might not know? You think we get out a lot? I wouldn't even know there were murders if I hadn't bothered to come out to get some soy calf last week. It's none of our business, and it isn't our problem, and I like it that way. See you later. Okay, well, before we go up there... What? Why did... That was weird. Oh, there is no that way. Never mind. I thought there was another path down this way, but... Seems we keep having these, dead areas. Huh. Okay. So maybe we just go directly into the... Yeah, okay. Got it. I wish this was slightly less linear, actually. I mean, it's a pretty good little mystery to unravel, but it's fairly linear. You just have to find what the next thing to do is, which really you're kind of directly led to for the most part. All right. Despite the table's crude construction, an artfully laid meal awaits the owner. Several small dishes are filled with pickled vegetables, while a larger plate is arranged with long slices of raw meat. The meat is a pale pinkish white, like raw pork, and is covered in a light soy marinade. Okay, so a little cannibalism going on here. Poking at the raw meat, you discover that it's surprisingly tender. What's more, it has the faint aroma of marinade as if deliberately prepared. Didn't you just say that? I am absolutely not eating that shit. Something tells me when we leave, we're going to be interrupted. This box is packed full of odds and ends. It nearly overflows with a collection of knickknacks, souvenirs, and assorted personal effects. There is no rhyme or reason to the collection of items. They appear to have been thrown in haphazardly. Among the contents are charms from various temples, a wooden mask, and a paper fan. I'm worried these might be kill mementos. The wooden mask is extremely light. It's been painted a pale white, and the surface is almost as smooth as porcelain. Delicate features and lifted eyebrows are matched with bright red lips and delicately carved teeth. The teeth have been stained a deep black. The small charms are square cloth packets, each approximately 1 inch wide and 3 inches tall. They come in a variety of bright colors and are embroidered with characters for prosperity, peace, wealth, and protection. Inside each one appears to be a folded paper prayer or fortune, written in Japanese. Unfolding the fan, you tilt it up towards the light to examine it. The image depicts an East Asian city from the 19th century or earlier. Curved roofs at sunset beside a deep blue river. 2 ships sail down the river, which is in turn spanned by a long wooden bridge. In the foreground, laborers carry buckets along the shore, as a man on horseback rides in the opposite direction. In the distance, a pair of large red buildings dominate the city skyline, one large temple hall and a five-tiered pagoda. That is a very specific and long-winded description of a fan. As you step away from the box, Yeah, there it is. As you step away from the box, you hear a slight click in the distance, the sound of the door's latch shutting. You are no longer alone in the stockroom. Well, that feels like it's a pretty good place to break the episode. I guess we'll see who's coming to dinner next time.